So our variables are going to be x, y, and z. And I have two examples today that we're going to work on in our lesson. I also will have this as a PDF, so if you wanted to maybe print the PDF first and then just listen and watch and then take notes after, it's just some different ways to do it. So I do recommend that you take notes and follow along. The system is the red, green, and blue equations. Notice the x, the y, and the z are our variables that we will be solving for. I did put out the steps for you so you can kind of follow along, and then we'll do the problem together. So go ahead and write the three equations down, the red, green, and the blue. Step 1, we're going to go ahead and add the equations 1 and 2 in the system together to eliminate the y variable. So we're going to add...
This is the final call for any seniors that have not had flash photography pictures taken for your book. Please report to the auditorium now. Thank you.
So there's the first equation. That's a -2 there. Here's the second equation. And now we're going to go ahead and add those two equations together. Like we did earlier in our chapter 3, where we want to eliminate one of the variables when we have just an x and a y. So when we add the x and the 2x, we get 3x. And then when we add 2y and -2y, that becomes 0. And then -3z plus z becomes -2z. Then on the right, we have -2 plus 7 is 5. Now we're going to go back to this black equation a little bit. So just kind of hold off on it for now. Okay, now let's move on to step 2. We're going to use the original equation in the system, the first one and the last one. So we're going to use this red equation and the blue equation. So here's our red equation, x plus 2y minus 3z equals -2. And then the blue equation, which is the third equation, x plus y plus 2z equals -4. Now, if I were to add them together right now as they are, no variable would cancel out. So then it says multiply equation 3, so the blue one, by -2. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to leave the original red one alone. So we'll just carry that over. So x plus 2y minus 3z equals -2. And now our new blue equation, when we multiply by -2 to all terms, we get -2x, -2y, -4z, and then +8. Now let's go ahead and eliminate the y term like we did in step 1. So we're going to add these two equations together. So x plus -2x is -x. Then we're going to add 2y and -2y. Well, that cancels out to be 0y. And then -3z plus -4z is -7z. And then -2 plus 8 is 6. Now this is what we're going to work with next. In step 3, we're going to work with the two black equations that we worked on in step 1 and step 2. So the one equation we're going to work with is right here, 3x minus 2z equals 5. And this equation right here that we just found, negative x minus 7z equals 6. So step 3, use step 1 and step 2's new equations in the black to eliminate z by multiplying both the equation by 3 and add them together. So the first equation is 3x minus 2z equals 5. That was our first equation that we found in step 1. And then in step 2, we found negative x minus 7z, which equals 6. Now if we add those two equations together, nothing will eliminate. So we have to change one or two of the equations. So if I look at them, it might be a good idea to multiply that bottom equation by 3. I'm going to multiply this equation by 3. Notice what happens is I'm eliminating now that x term. So I'm going to keep the top equation as it is. So I have 3x minus 2z equals 5. And then negative 3x, negative 21z, and then 18. Now let's go ahead and add those two equations together. 3x minus 3x is 0. Negative 2z plus negative 21z is negative 23z. And then on the right, 5 plus 18 is 23. What happened now is I'm down to one variable, z, that I can solve for z. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 23. The negative 23's on the left will cancel. And I'm left with z equals 23 divided by negative 23 is negative 1. So we found our first variable, z. We have two more to find. So let's go on to step 4. Step 4 says use one of your step 1 or step 2 equations and substitute z in, or negative 1, and then solve for x. So what I'm talking about is either use this black equation or this black equation and substitute negative 1 in for z. So I'm going to just use the step 2 equation. Step 2 equation looks like this. Negative x minus 7z equals 6. And we just found up above that z is negative 1. So I'm going to substitute negative 1 in for z. So negative x minus 7, replace the z with negative 1. Now we solve this equation for x. So we get negative x. Negative 7 times negative 1 is positive 7. Now we're going to go ahead and subtract 7 from both sides. x minus 7 is negative 1. And then if we divide both sides by negative 1, we get x to be a positive 1. Now we found our second variable, x. X equals 1. So we have one variable still to find, the y variable. Step 5 says, use one of the original 3 equations, so those original red, blue, and green equations, substitute x in for negative 1, z in for negative 1, hope this should be a positive 1 here, and solve for y. So I'm just going to use the top equation. So the top equation was in red. X plus 2y minus 3z equals negative 2. So the original equation was x plus 2y minus 3z equals negative 2. Now we're going to substitute x equals positive 1 and z equals negative 1. So substitute x equals positive 1 in for x plus 2y minus 3. Now replace the z with negative 1. And now we solve the rest of this red equation for y. And then we will have all 3 variables solved for this system. So negative 3 times negative 1 is positive 1, or positive 3. We can combine like terms on the left. 1 plus 3 is 4. Then we will subtract 4 from both sides. So that the 4 is now gone on the left. Negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6. And then divide by 2. Negative 6 divided by 2. So y equals negative 3. Now the final step is to rewrite the final answer as what we call an ordered pair in 3-dimensional. We do the x first, then the y, and then the z. So we found our x to be 1. We found our y to be negative 3. And then we found our z to be negative 1. So there is our final answer. I am going to stop there because it's about 13 minutes long. And we'll pick up again on movie part 2, where I'll do one more of these to get you some more practice in. And then that movie slide will show you what your homework is for tomorrow in class.